Dear listener, happy Monday. Welcome to our Monday meeting. So what Liam and I thought we'd do each Monday is have a bit of a meet-up. Just talk about some of the stuff that's going down, the week we've got coming up, and reflect on the week that was. Hello, Showbiz.
Who doesn't love talking radio with Wadio? What a great way to start the week.
I feel like it's a bumper sticker we should get made.
That is going to catch on. Don't you worry about that. Everyone I talk to, they don't say it to you, but when they ring me, they say, Wadio, that is a great nickname. I said, I know. It was one of our best from 25 years ago. And
You claim that.
I invented it. It was mine.
I know you did. I know. I can't believe it took me a long time for that even to enter my own head, seeing I was in radio, just a couple of years before I met you. But yes, I like it. It's very nice.
As we like to say, big week in Wadio, lots to cover today.
We have got lots to cover, and we'll talk about the episodes we've got coming up this week. But any reflections on anything you heard last week from the episodes?
Last week was it was a great week. What I'm just loving more and more is the fact that people are buying in. Hello to our good friend intern Pete, who emailed me not once but twice over the last couple of weeks saying he's loving the pod. He's invested, and his sister is invested. Hello, Kate Mead, and they are both keen to come on and talk brother-sisters working in radio. So we'll get them on in future weeks.
What a great angle, brother-sisters. I had a great time talking to Ash London and her team, and as well as all the other great shows in New Zealand. And I guess because I know Ash, it was kind of a different style of interview. But I've got to say, that show, for me, there's just some secret sauce in there that I can see already.
Now, I know we're going to get into some listener questions a little later on this set, but I have questions about that Ash London podcast. Should I ask them to you right now, or are you want me to hold off on those?
Yeah, do it. No, go.
Like you, Ash London is all over my feed, and I've always been a fan. I thought she brought a breath of fresh air to Australian radio. I thought she was really genuine and authentic, and I'm loving their socials. So here's the questions that come up for me. Every post they do gets 6 million hits. Does social media hits translate to people turning on their radio show? Because I've never listened to her radio show in New Zealand, but I can't get enough of her socials.
Yeah, I think in Ash's case it does. And I'll say I don't think there's a blanket rule. I don't think you can say because a show is firing on socials, it's going to translate into ratings, and even vice versa. But I think what Ash's show does reminds me a little bit of what James Corden did when he started Carpool Karaoke. So the backstory there was they started the Late Late Show, James Corden, at a time where YouTube and short video clips were peaking. And the idea for Carpool Karaoke was actually for socials, that if we play it on the show or we play it on socials, it's a next day watch. That's how they thought about it. And lo and behold, of course, it was so good that they had to play it on the show, and it went off and took off as a benchmark. And what it did over time, not immediately, what it did over time, is drew people's attention to James through socials and drew them to the TV show because of that. And Ash's show is only very new in New Zealand radio, only started this year. But I can see from what those guys are doing, and I can hear from what I listen to in the show, which I have done, and when I talk to other people in radio, there's a vibe to it that is translating to ears, I think. So I think it's not every show, but I would say with Ash, I think it's definitely going to translate. It's already showing some growth, but it will translate into radio ratings in one of the hardest radio markets in the world.
So where do you think they are in the life cycle of a show? They've been together 4 months. They wouldn't have even had an argument yet. They wouldn't have had a disagreement in the hallway. And that's the true sign of a show. We have an argument. How do we get over it? How do we storm, norm, and perform together? So they're very new together. They've had huge success in the first 6 months. Where are they at in the life cycle of a show?
Well, I'd hate to say that they're never going to have a fight, but I can't see it because they are just three different people who come together over a common bond, which is just music and joy. And the three individuals, I know there's a lot of talk about Ash because it's her name on the show and she drives it, but I think with the others, I just get the feeling that, and I include the producers and the others too, when you know what it's like when you're working on a great show, like it's really hard for anyone outside of that to penetrate the bubble that you've created. And all that happens is you become stronger together. You've got each other's back even when you're not in the room with the other person. So I think in terms of trajectory, they're hitting their strides really, really early. So the watch would be, can they maintain it? But creatively, energy-wise, ability to trust each other, I actually think they've got it in spades. So I think that'll end up being, in my mind, a show that should be on air in more than just New Zealand, I think.
Here's where that show's going to go. So my long-term prediction for that show is that eventually Ash London will come back to Australia because she's just that good. And I think she'll train those other two up, and they will have a long-term career on New Zealand radio. She'll train them, and that'll be her legacy, is that she'll teach them, because they're both in their early 20s. The other two are very young. She's double their age, basically. And she's going to train them well. She'll come back and she'll get a massive gig somewhere here in Australia, drive somewhere nationally, do the same thing again, rinse and repeat, and she'll train them up to a point where they're going to have massive careers. And I can see long-term careers for all three of them. They're great.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I just want to point out to Ash London, it was Liam that said you're double their age, just so you know. Don't take that out on me.
No. I've heard her say 39 many times on that show. It's following her lead.
Yeah, but you don't need to point it out. Don't back over it, I think is the point. We did get a message from one of our P1s. If you're not a P1, jump on thequarterhour.com and easy. It's free. You just become a P1. You get in our WhatsApp group. You can ask us questions and have a chat off air as well. One of the P1s said, Wade, you talk about the Ash London show a lot. Liam, what's your go-to show that you love to listen to now?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because I'll call it a nostalgic show, and it's in my home city of Brisbane, and I wake up every morning with Bobby Gallagher, Barbecue Bob, on breakfast on 4BH. And I actually had to sit down and think about why I love that show. Now, I used to be Bobby's EP at another radio station. I've got a personal connection with Bob, and he's been on Brisbane radio since I was a kid. He's been around for a little while. I get my daily dose of my own hometown. I love Brisbane radio. I get a little bit of talk, but not too much. I get songs that I know, songs that I like, because they play a lot of 90s, but I also get songs that remind me of my parents. It's warm. It's a soft place for me to land. It's radio like I remember it growing up. Like it's the radio that I fell in love with, that I remember as a kid. And for me, it's nostalgic. So every market's got a station like that. For us in Brisbane, it's Barbecue Bob Gallagher on 4BH, and that's my go-to nearly every day. What about you? Who are you listening to at the moment?
Oh, well, I listen to Ross and Russ on 3AW mostly. I try and skip around a fair bit. I actually find myself listening to Triple J a fair bit too, because I like the sound of different voices. Obviously, I'm not in the target in terms of music, but, I've got teenagers, so I do try and keep up a little bit with what's going on in music. But I love Nick and Lauren on the hot hits. I do listen through the day to different stations. So I wouldn't say I have a go-to one show, apart from I generally put on Ross and Russ when I turn on the radio first thing in the morning. Hey, another question we got was around Chrissie Swan and Ronnie Stanton. Now, this is quite funny because you did the 2-part series with Ronnie. We'll have to get Chrissie on at some point. And I would actually, because I know Chrissie quite well, but I would actually like you to talk to Chrissie, because I think you can do it from a radio fan perspective, and I'd probably do it more from a friend perspective. And I think most of people want to hear the radio fan bit stuff.
Well, tell me your relationship there. Were you their program director?
Yeah, I was. I was their program director in the Sunshine Coast. So I basically got there like a week after they launched. There were some changes in programming. I came down from the Townsville hub, as it was then known, and I was programming there. I was only there 10 months, but seriously, the amount of intestinal surgery I've had to have since laughing along to that radio show every morning is my guts was ruined from that show. Like, you talk about Chrissie and Ronnie laughing. I also was a chief instigator and enabler of all that laughter. And this is what the question actually was, is do we have any audio from the Chrissie and Ronnie show of that time? And someone said, I heard that you used to go on the show as a caller, which is true. Now, I've gone and had a look, and this is the only one that I still have. It really shits me that I've only got one piece of audio. But this is me ringing into Chrissie and Ronnie, pretending to be a local listener.
The Sunshine Coast, Hot 91, it's Chrissie and Ronnie. The unmanly amnesty continues. If there's something you want to admit that maybe isn't particularly blokey.
Oh, because men need that outlet. They're always so full of bravado and like, oh, nothing wrong with me, oh. We welcome you with open arms and open ears.
That's right. This is a strange call. Hello, Mr. X.
Hello, Chrissie and Ronnie. I'm disguising my voice.
Right.
Right, this must be scary. What?
Yeah, if my workmates found out this was me, I'd never live it down.
Okay. What is it that you want to fess up to, Mr. X?
Are you sure no one will pick my voice?
No one will pick your voice, I'm sure. You sound a little bit like Carlotta, so it's going to be okay.
Well, I don't have any men's underwear. I only wear women's underwear.
You do not.
That's true. I've always bought women's underwear because I find it more comfortable.
Of course you do. So where is it that you work again?
I can't say. They'll pay me out. All I'm saying is that I'm in real estate in Caloundra.
You are not.
I am. I'm in real estate, and at the moment I'm wearing a pair of pink Huskies.
Good to see you change your voice there too. You really put a lot of effort into that one. Now, were you trying to derail the show there?
Yes, yes. I thought because their magic ingredient was their laughter, all I wanted them to do every single day was laugh so I could laugh with them. So if I felt like that they'd gone too long without a laugh, I was happy to call in and put on a fake voice and just try and stitch them up.
What was your role in the day-to-day? So as a program director, and this is 20-something years ago, I would have imagined they didn't have a producer.
No, they produced the show themselves. They pretty much did everything themselves.
As we all did back in the day. So what was your day-to-day? Would you air check them every day, and how would you guide them?
Yeah, I think we talked on a previous episode how I'm not the best air checker. Like, I'm not a technical air checker, and I never really found it interesting myself. And therefore,
I don't know. You like to throw me a few notes about my role in this show. You're not doing too bad.
I said was. Maybe I've evolved. But I used to love the prep. So, you know, they get off air, we just reflect very quickly on the show that day. It wouldn't be anything scientific. It would be like, oh, that worked, that didn't, why? And then we go, right, what have we got for tomorrow? And honestly, that hour that we would spend, because we would spend that amount of time, was as funny and as unplanned and as absolute batshit crazy as the show was, because we had to find things that made us laugh. Like, that was the golden rule. If we laughed at something, and I think the great thing about Ronnie, of course, because he's so naughty, was his timing. Like, he would just find those sort of moments and would just, like, out of nowhere make us laugh. And it wasn't a standard show. It wasn't a, oh, well, who's on Big Brother? Let's talk about that, which is ironic because Chrissie was. It was actually more about what's going to make us laugh. What are the things we found in the news? I remember, it's just come back to me. I remember Chrissie and Ronnie being in their office and they were prepping for the next show. And Ronnie picks up the phone. It was a landline those days, of course. Picks up the phone, dials number. And he goes, oh, hi, it's Ronnie Stanton here from Hot 91. Just love to organise an interview, you know. Who have you guys got on your books? Something like that. And he waits and doesn't get an answer. And then he says, yeah, what about the Bobby Limbs of the world? Now, Bobby Lim is such an old name that people listening to this pod don't know who he is, but he was an old singer. And Ronnie, in that moment, realised Bobby Lim had died. And Chrissie knew he had died. So the minute he says, what about the Bobby Limbs of the world, her face just sort of turns suddenly towards him. And he's like, oh, right, I'm sorry to hear that. And she just hard right out of the room on all fours, just like it. But that's the kind of chaos and madness. I know I loved that because that's what they did on the air. The off the air and on the air were very similar with that show.
I often wonder why they didn't launch a Nova, those two. They were in the DMG stable, and I would have thought they would have been a potential show somewhere.
Yeah, I think if you ask them, they probably thought the same thing. And it wasn't long before Chrissie went down to what was then Vega, I think, in Melbourne, before it became Classic Rock, and she was paired up with Dicko and Dave O'Neill and a couple of others. And I don't know, with Ronnie, he always gave me the impression he really loved living where he did and loved it there. I mean, he's always aspired to bigger roles and bigger jobs, but I think he was always a Sunny Coast guy at that point in time. But anyway, let's stop talking about the past. What happened on Friday? Well, that is the past, but not that far back. On Friday with the Eddie and Karl long weekend show.
Now, I've got that as an appointment set in my calendar. I enjoyed the first couple of weeks, and at one point there, I thought I was the only person in Australia listening because everyone was watching the soccer, and I was in my car, and I was desperate to hear the opening break, just to hear how Eddie would have tackled it. Karl wasn't there, and Eddie was so amazing. He had a speech written out. He had grabs. He had bits from the Today Show farewell. He had the Karl's farewell. He had a statement from ARN. And everything led to this Friday show where he said, Karl will be my special guest and reveal all on this week's show. And I thought, well, set the calendar, folks, because it's all going to happen this Friday on the radio show. So they did it very well. My thoughts on Karl leaving made me quite sad, if I'm really honest, because what really upsets me about radio is that people are encouraged, talent is encouraged to build a relationship with their audience. You are encouraged to share as much as you can, to build as many connection points as you can with your audience. And for management, whoever, to not let them say goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
It really hurts.
Agree.
It hurts me as a consumer. It hurts me as someone in the industry. It hurts me as someone that loves content. I'm like, just be normal, be real, and give him a farewell show. He's done 21 years.
Yeah.
Just let him come on and say, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to burn the ships.
Yep.
He's not going to burn the place down. Just let him say goodbye. Let the text messages come through, the Facebook notes, and just say, hey, you know what? And in the old days, you couldn't. Many shows had been walked. He at least had the luxury of social media to say his own farewells, which was great. I don't know why he was wearing a pair of Stubbies shorts in the middle of a park in London. Where are his shoes? I think that was a big statement there. Put some shoes on, Carl.
I'm glad you said that, though, because I agree with you on that trust thing. Is you build that relationship up and you're encouraged to live your whole life, and then you basically just get ripped out of there. I mean, it's not like he's starting on Sunrise on Monday. You know, I kind of get it a little more when they're walking across the street to someone else and you think they're going to take their audience with them. But it's like Kyle. I mean, people who know and love them are going to find them wherever they are. So I would just say that, yeah, I agree. I think shows should have a chance to say goodbye no matter where they are. And we saw that with SCA last week. SCA made some changes, but all of those shows got a chance to say goodbye after they found out about it. And it was classy and they did it really well.
And as a listener and a consumer, it's closure. Even if it's one show, it's our farewell show. We've invested a lot. Like when shows are just gone like that, or talent's just gone, it hurts as a listener. It hurts as someone that watches and go, "Where'd he go? Yeah, I can catch him out elsewhere." But we need full circle closure, and it pains me that our industry doesn't do that well.
Agree with you, 100%. Now, what have we got coming up on the pod this week?
Really good interviews. Tanya Wilkes, the queen of Newcastle radio, is joining us on the pod. I put it to her and said, if they made a Mount Rushmore of Newcastle, who would be on it? I knew the answer. My answer was Matty Johns, Dave Gleeson from the Screaming Jets, Daniel Johns from Silverchair, and Tanya Wilkes from Newcastle radio should be on their Mount Rushmore. She is just divine, a beautiful human, a fantastic broadcaster. She's going to talk about her 30 plus years in Newcastle. And we're doing a deep dive on Rick Dees. Rick's doing something really cool.
Rick Dees.
Yeah, he's back, baby. He's back. He's doing something really cool with recycled content. We're doing a deep dive on when you recycle, reuse, and repurpose old material you got laying around the house. And you've got some stuff coming up this week as well.
I do, mate. I've got lots in the can this week. And I've been busy. You know, there's so many stories to tell about radio. And what you really want to be able to do is make sure that you're talking to radio people and people get to hear those stories. So all will be revealed as the week goes on.
It's going to be a big week. We can't wait to be in your feeds.
See you soon.